Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, two avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Twins. Men for the Win is sponsored by the Grand Group with Edina Realty. Are you looking to purchase a new home in the Twin Cities area? Or perhaps you're trying to sell your current home? Whether you're upsizing or downsizing, the Grand Group with Edina Realty will meet all of your housing needs. Contact the Grand Group by emailing thegrand, G-R-A-N, group at edinarealty.com or call them by phone at 612-817-8751. The Grand Group with Edina Realty, 7-time Minneapolis-St. Paul Magazine Super Agent Award winners. Men for the Win is part of the Pull Tab Sports Network, covering sports, culture, and entertainment across the Midwest. Check them out at pulltabsports.com and give them a follow on all your social media platforms at PullTab Sports. On this episode, David and Hoges recap the Twins' 3-game series against the Baltimore Orioles. Thanks for listening. Enjoy. Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win. My name is David Kufis. With me, special third chair in studio, Andrew Hoges. Hoganson. Dan is gallivanting. He's on, I don't think it's spring break. I don't know if classes are done. It's very confusing. His life as a teacher, Hoges, but he's in Texas, and from what I understand, it's like 1,000 degrees down there right now.
Well, which we have to point out, you still wanted to go down there for your dream road trip, a guy who absolutely hates heat. It's like, let's go to Arlington in August. That is where I would like to be. But speaking of Dan, so I like to listen to this podcast. It's kind of my reprieve from the rest of the world. You know, I'd like to listen to some baseball. You know, the job lately, it's been a little bit tough. My company's doing some downsizing. We had to evaluate a bunch of people. I got evaluated. I made it through the cuts. But then I listened to this podcast and I'm just getting evaluated all over again by someone who doesn't even know what I do. Do you know what this is about? Like, how come every episode there's a little dig at my middle management skills?
I think maybe he's just gotten tired of taking so many shots at me. He's so happy to find a new, because out of the two of us, between Dan and I, he's always the aggressor.
Yes, absolutely. You know, normally I would be disagreeing with you here, but yes, he is the aggressor.
Anyway, Hoges, we're both in good moods. I mean, even if he's poking fun at you, who cares?
Oh, this is unbelievable.
The Twins have won 11 straight.
What a time.
Hoges.
What a time right now. I mean, I think of this all the time. I sent you boys this text. It was like April 27th last year. And I just said, I will not overreact in April. I will not overreact in April. Well, I overreacted in April again. And here we are again. We're 4 games above 500. As we currently record right now, the Minnesota Twins are a playoff team. We have a game up on Houston and on Texas. They've won 11 in a row. The Timberwolves are going to the Western Conference Finals for the 3rd time in their history, which brings back all of the mid-teen years for me, memories with KG and all of that. It's just phenomenal. It is a beautiful time to be a Minnesota sports fan right now.
It is. If I could just change one thing, though, throw away the Spartan helmet.
I love
throw it
no,
away.
David, no. Why do you have to pee on everyone's parade? This is beautiful.
That is not the saying even a little bit.
It's close. So
it's like a pun. It's a play on words.
I do get it.
David, it's beautiful. And you know what makes it even more beautiful? It's broken. And you know why it's broken? Because we have to use it all the time. We just keep shattering that little fin on the top because these guys just keep hitting home runs. I don't know about you, and we'll get into this more, but at any point during this series, even when the Twins fell behind, didn't you think, like, we're going to mash against this Orioles bullpen? It's just such a weird train of thought that I've never had before, and I'm living for it right now.
Game 2, I would say, is the one where I probably started to question whether the streak would continue. We will get into that, though, Hoges. There's so much to talk about. Let's just go ahead and jump right into the series recap.
Series recap.
Game 1, Hoges. Twins win this one 6-3. My guy Bailey Ober on the mound. Not a great day at the office. 4 2/3 pitched, 2 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, which is out of character, 3 strikeouts, and a home run. Bottom of the first, he got some defensive help here. Harrison Bader makes a great sliding catch. He stays in the game for the rest of game 1, but then game 2 of a doubleheader at this point, pulled because of groin tightness. And then the first Brooks Lee error at second extends the inning, but Ober gets through the rest without giving up a run. We should comment too, game 1 actually was supposed to be played a night game the day before. Instead, they made it a true doubleheader, which I was texting with a buddy who's a big baseball guy, has been for a long, long time. He's never seen it where there was a scheduled night game on the following day, and they change it to a true doubleheader as opposed to a day night, which is kind of interesting.
Well, what the makeup game was the second game, actually, in this situation. At least that's what ESPN was saying when I was checking the scores throughout the day, which is a weird deal, like how they planned it out that way. This whole series, they were like, you know what? People who have day jobs, we would like them to not watch a single inning. Like that's how they decided to schedule this one out, I feel like.
This was a tough rough one. So a lot of radio here, I'm guessing,
Yes,
for most
same.
of the folks, including us. Just listening to the radio in between meetings and whatnot.
Love me
work,
some Atterbury. Can't get enough of
well,
him.
Okay, a quick note here. I'm in the car driving home during game 2, I think, yesterday. And Chris Atterbury says at one point, we have a great fielding group of pitchers. And I thought, out of all of the things you could praise this team for legitimately, why lie? Why are we lying about this?
That might be just the last part of that whole deal.
It's not great. But bottom third, Ober gets into trouble. He allows a walk followed by a Mountcastle RBI double. Then the big hit here was a Gunnar Henderson home run. So Baltimore's up 3-0. The streak is in jeopardy, but thank goodness, top of the fourth, Twins answer in a big way here. Brooks Lee hits a homer to make up for his error in the first. Then Correa singles, Castro walks, and then as expected, Hogs, we'll talk about this a little bit later, Christian Vasquez comes through with a 3-run shot.
This was actually pretty funny because we were watching at work during lunch and the Twins fell behind 3-0. So my buddy was like, we got to stop. We can't watch this anymore. Turns it off instantly. The 2 home runs happen after that. And the guy at another table a little farther over was like, hey, did you guys check the score? We're up 4-3 now. We're like, no, we're not. Because it felt like minutes from, or maybe seconds from when we shut it off. So I actually missed both of the home runs there, but yeah, pretty sweet. And we'll get to this later. Production across the lineup in this series, and Vasquez coming through here. I mean, David, he's been hot, dare we say, lately? Like, he's producing at least something.
He's getting it done, Hogs. In the game that he plays out of every 6, he's definitely
but
getting
that's
it done.
fine with me, right? Like, if Jeffers is considered our starting catcher and he gets 60% of the starts, I'm okay with that at this point, as long as Vasquez comes in and does this just every once in a while.
Bottom of the 7th, Brooks Lee. My back! Commits another error, followed by a Mountcastle single. 2 outs, O'Hearn hits a ball sharply to center, and Buxton makes a phenomenal catch to save at least 1 run here for sure. This defense, Hogs, it showed up to help the pitchers, which is hilarious to say in a game that they committed 4 errors. Right? But it's like for every error they made a spectacular play to make up for it.
Well, yeah, I wanted to add on to what you're saying about the defense, but then you're looking at the box score and you're like, was it good? But it has been, though. It's been phenomenal, like across the board too. I mean, our outfield, no matter who's playing in left, whether it's Bader or Castro, incredible. Hopefully Bader's okay. I don't know if you've heard much more about what that injury isn't going to entail. I'm sure we'll find out more tomorrow when Rocco isn't vomiting anymore, but it was fun to watch.
Bottom of the 8th, Jax gets into a little bit of trouble after an error by Correa and a walk to Kierstad, but he works out of it. Then top of the 9th, huge insurance runs here with 2 outs. Buxton walks. Larnach doubles. O'Neill actually drops the ball, allowing Buxton to score easily. I think he would have scored anyway, but it made it so Buxton didn't have to really push that hard.
Part of that is the Byron Buxton effect too, right? You know who's coming around there, so you're really trying to rush it. Like sometimes when you see those, that's not going to be considered an error or whatever. It's more of a dumb. I think you got to give credit to the base runner at times in those situations.
Definitely. This does allow Larnach to advance to third, though, because O'Neill drops the ball, and then he scores on a wild pitch. So the Twins are up 6-3. The hardest part about this game, Hogs, is Rocco had to use the entire bullpen. Coulomb, Stewart, Varland, Jackson, Duran. Ugly game. 4 errors, 6 walks, but the Twins still win it, which again, I don't think you would have guessed if I just gave you those numbers.
Well, and if you give me those numbers, then I say they lose the next 2 games, even if they did win that game. With the guys that pitched, the injuries that already happened, Ober only going 4 2/3. I mean, it was about as nightmarish of a way that you can open a doubleheader, knowing that you play a day game the following day even, and you come away with the win, sure, but you're like, all right, I guess we're going to have to punt on the next 2.
That's how it felt. But game 2, Twins win this one 8-6. No right. They had no right to win this game. I understand the Orioles are not a good baseball team right now, but my goodness, Oaks, this was a rough one to watch if you were an Orioles fan, I'm sure.
If you're a Twins fan, it was kind of hard to watch.
SWR on the mound. 4 innings pitched in a game where they needed him desperately, Hogs, to get deep into this game. 4 innings pitched, 8 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks, 2 home runs given up. Really frustrating outing from SWR, who actually ended up getting optioned, and Cody Funderburk took his spot on the roster, but now it sounds like Zebby Matthews is going to be called up to make the start on Sunday.
Yeah, which I think it's time. You have a start like this. Like it's been about what the Twins were, right? He had a pretty rough second half last year. He's had a rough first quarter this year. It's time to send him down. I don't think this is anything on the guy, like he's not going to be called up again at some point. I guarantee you he will pitch again for the Twins this year, but I think it's the right call. It's the good move. I think he needs a bit of a reset.
Yeah, I don't think that would hurt his his cause, certainly. So top of the first, the Twins strike first. They load the bases with 2 outs with a Buxton walk, a Jeffers single, and a Castro single. Bader comes through with an RBI single to score Buxton. Twins are up 1-0. They can do no more damage, but top of the second, the Twins add on after Jonah Bride's hit with a pitch. And then Trevor Larnach, who, my goodness, man, when that guy makes contact, I can't believe it, but he launches one to right field. Twins are up 3-0, and it's starting to feel like it's possible.
And it's fun to see Larnach doing well. I mean, I know he won me Puckett's picks last week. I don't know. I'll take 2 wins out of that one. I feel like, to be fair, I did switch to Correa, but I thought you guys were joking when you said I won because I knew Larnach had the most points. Whatever, massive aside. Larnach has been playing well. It's fun to see. We need him playing well, especially with Wallner still on the IL.
No question. So top of the third, Lee walks, and then there's 2 quick outs by Castro and Bader, but then Clemens with an RBI single to score Brooks Lee, and then Clemens is actually thrown out trying to advance to second, so Twins are up 4-0.
But this was frustrating, David. The Twins get up to a 4-0 lead. You got to think that we need SWR to go deep into this game because we have no bullpen, and it didn't work out like that.
No, bottom of the third. So first of all, France exits after fouling a ball off of his toe in his at-bat. So the infield at this point, Hogs, is Bride, Clemens, Lee, and Lewis.
It was so difficult to keep up with this in these 2 games because it kept being like, well, he's hurt. Well, how hurt is he? Or is it just, is he not playing because it's the second game of a doubleheader? And then this is the game Baldelli disappeared for a while, too. Yeah. We didn't even know where he was. They didn't even mention it. They just kept showing Jace Tingler and being like, he's acting manager. And I was like, why? Why is he? I've never seen a game where there were so many injuries that you had no idea whether or not the guy was dead or just was tired.
Hard to say, Hogs. But at this point, the Orioles had clearly figured out SWR. 3 straight singles and a walk, and then a Cedric Mullins grand slam puts the Orioles up 5-4. That's then followed by a Kierstad solo shot. So the Orioles are now up 6-4. And at this point, you know what you're working with in the bullpen. And your current lineup of position players is half the guys weren't on the roster to start the season. I'm thinking there's no chance the Twins are going to win this game. I think my sister texted at this point, and she goes, I think they can still do it.
I'm with your sister. I was still positive. I was still positive. I was like, this Orioles bullpen is trash. It is so bad. And I know we're only in the 4th here, but did you see that stat where they have like the 3rd worst run differential from the 7th inning on in Major League Baseball? And half of that is because of the Twins, because we've just shellacked them for 6 games now. But I don't know. Maybe I hit my head this week or something like that. But even now, at this point in this game, I was like, I bet we do it. I bet we do it.
Well, Hogs, when a hero was needed, a hero arose. Top of the 5th, the Twins get one back on a Willi Castro solo shot. Baltimore's still up now at this point, 6-5. Now it's the top of the 8th. We're going to come back to this moment in our Minnesota moment. Let's just say my guy Kody Clemens had another big moment. But bottom of the 8th, Topa comes in. Gets a huge lift from Castro, who records an out on a fantastic running catch in left field. Hat tip to Declan Goff from the Score No Twins show. He pointed out this would have been a home run in 10 ballparks.
It was an unbelievable catch. He's running pretty much backwards. The ball, it's not quite a Willie Mays catch, but it was definitely coming in over his left shoulder, and he had to jump with his back to the ball. And it wasn't one of those ones where he was jumping to just make it. He had to jump, and it was full-on dead sprint. Unbelievable catch. I love those catches. I feel like they don't get as much love as they maybe should because there's no like dive or a home run robbing, like jumping over the fence. Phenomenal catch, and to be able to do that is unbelievably hard.
Bottom of the 9th, thank goodness. Cole Sands enters with clean bases for a change. He gets 3 quick outs. Twins win this one. One more note here. I just feel a little bad. Ball boys are not baseball players, right?
This was so funny.
Sometimes you just get volunteers. I don't know exactly how they choose who these people are who are, down the left and field lines.
Oh, man.
This guy slipped not once, but twice. The first time he
fell over the grass, I feel like. They wouldn't show the replay. Bad. Why wouldn't they show the replay? It's funny.
That's sad,
we all fall. Show the replay.
Didn't you fall, Hoges, when you were doing the race at Target Field?
No, I was showboating at the beginning of the race, and then I started late, which that is on video. But
oh man, I thought in my mind, sometimes I think it just makes me smile.
Nah, I don't fall.
You fell.
I'm an athlete. I'm an athlete, David.
I'm an athlete. Oh my goodness. Anyway, a little sad for that ball boy, but I think hopefully he had a.
He was laughing. He was laughing. laughing when they showed him. Yeah. Show that replay all the time. It's good for humility. Before we get to game 3, I just wanted to point out quick. We were texting each other at the end of game 2. We legit had no idea who was going to come in and pitch for the Twins. It made sense how they finished that game out, and it was nice having Cole Sands still be available. But we were both legitimately being like, are they going to maybe throw Duran and Jax back in there? I mean, they just pitched a couple hours ago. They got to be okay still. So I still really can't believe that they pulled this one out with that bullpen. Because, David, if this game goes into extra innings, if the Orioles tie it, do you think Jace Tingler just walks out and is like, you know what? We're good. It's yours. We're throwing position players out there. We got to get to game 3.
Just because of the current momentum that the team has, I think you do just throw a position player out there.
See what Willi can do out there. And maybe be like, you know what? Unleash it a little bit. Actually try to throw 90 if you can.
Try your best in this moment just to throw strikes and see what happens. Because the way that our team is playing right now, you might as well try it at this point. And the way that the Orioles, they don't have a bullpen either, even when they have guys
that's
available.
True. Well, and they said in this doubleheader, I think every single guy played except for the other 3 starting pitchers, if I'm not wrong. Literally every single guy on the active roster except for those 3 guys played, which is insane. I don't know if that's ever happened before.
All right, well, game 3, Twins win this one 4-0. Chris Paddack, who we're going to talk about later, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts.
We got to get you a Paddack jersey. I think you need one now.
Do they make those? I don't even know if they sell those.
Might have to be custom made.
A lot of help here from the defense in this game, but bottom of the first, Royce Lewis with a great play to start a ground into double play. He makes a sliding catch then on a foul ball to end the inning. Then top of the third here, Royce singles. And then Deshaun Kersey Jr., of course, the 2-run homer, followed by a Buxton solo shot. So Twins are up 3-0, their first time going back-to-back in home runs this season.
We'll get to it later, but when I was looking for guys to put on my bench, there's guys like these, the bench players where you're kind of like, maybe he didn't deserve it. Then he comes up with a homer here in a huge spot. You can't put a guy on a bench who does that. It was phenomenal.
Bottom of the third, Buxton and Correa collide, going for a fly ball. A really scary moment. They're both on the ground for a long time. Correa exits. Buxton stays in the game to finish the inning, but then goes down the tunnel after the inning is done with the training staff. If you watch the replay, Correa at the last second realizes that Buxton's not stopping. He's going to make the catch, and Correa is right where Buxton's going to be running basically at full speed. Correa braces, but Buxton goes right into Correa's back, basically chin first into Correa's shoulder.
And then the whiplash.
Dude, it looks scary. Their heads kind of hit too, and so Correa didn't look right off the bat, and then Buxton, he looked better, it seemed like, but you do worry about the head stuff sometimes, and that was definitely the injuries that happened there. Yeah, I think Correa is going to feel it a little bit on the old shoulder, and he's going to have a heck of a bruise. It's more the head stuff that concerns me.
For sure, and it was when they slowed this, when you originally saw it, you're like, oh, that looks bad, just because of how they bumped off of each other. The slow-mo, at first, you're like, okay, they're okay. They kind of avoided it, because they sort of, initially, it's like chest and back that they absorb most of that contact, but then Correa's head goes back from that as Buxton's chin comes in, and just full whiplash from Correa's head into Buxton. It didn't look pretty, and they're both in concussion protocol right now. Hopefully we'll hear more tomorrow. It didn't look great. You got to think they're out for a couple games at least. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think there's anything structurally with their body. It's going to be more of when they can get back from that concussion protocol, and that's always scary. You just never know what that's going to be like. But yeah, hopefully those guys are both okay. And it wasn't even really a bad play on Correa, because it kind of looked like his ball. It was really in that middle ground. Correa has so much range, and both guys were just going at it. That was tough. It wasn't fun to see.
I don't believe that man's ever been to medical school.
Thank you, Hoges, for filling in for Dr. Dan.
I have had 4 concussions. Does that maybe that unqualifies me to speak on concussions?
I would argue I'm less willing to hear what you have to say.
That is definitely true after those.
Anyway, bottom of the fourth here, Mountcastle hits a ball high off the right field wall, takes a big bounce towards the infield. Kody Clemens, my guy, all over the place, has to sprint back towards the infield, and you see him pick up the ball barehanded. Mountcastle rounds second. He's sliding into third. Perfect throw from Clemens. A one-hop hits Royce in the glove, gets the tag down. A beautiful play to throw out Mountcastle at third.
Like we said, fun defensive plays in this series too, even with all the errors. Everything's clicking.
It's kind of, yeah.
Everything.
Everything. Top of the seventh, Castro doubles, and then Royce Lewis, an RBI single to knock him home. Twins are up 4-0. Varland and Duran finish the 8th and 9th. A couple of hits, but they get through without allowing a run. Royce Lewis, Hoges. Pretty good game for Royce here. A couple of hits, couple couple RBIs, and he made some great defensive plays. I think that timing is finally starting to catch up for him.
Well, and I think they did a little bit what you said, right? They called him up maybe a little bit early because we just kind of needed him. We needed that spark. We needed that attitude in the clubhouse, to be honest. And it's nice to see that maybe it's starting to sink in a little bit.
He is the one.
Speaking of sinking in, what I'd like to sink into my stomach is some Jimmy's Coleslaw. It's officially coleslaw season. Grab a jar of Jimmy's Coleslaw dressing to give your slaw the zip and zing that everyone will be talking about. Available in original, fat-free, and pineapple, Jimmy's is family fun and locally owned. Delicious on burgers, brats, pulled pork, and as a summertime side, you can't go wrong with Jimmy's. Pick up a jar today. Jimmy's salad dressing and dips. Don't you be messing with my dressing.
Catch 'em all, Kirby Puckett!
Puckett's Picks winner.
Hogs, you were all excited when I sent the text with the results, thinking because you picked last, you would get the victory. But no, the listeners come charging back. They took Buxton, who had 7. Hogs, you come in second with Larnick, who had 6. Dan took Lewis, who had 1. I took France because I'm really of this feast or famine mentality when it comes to France. And unfortunately, the famine continues for a few more years for France. -3 for France during this series.
I 100% thought I won. Not even a shadow of a doubt, which is funny because last week I 100% thought I lost. So apparently I have no idea what's going on even when I'm watching the games.
Do you want to know who was the high scorer on the team, Hogs?
Was it Vasquez?
It was
yes.
Vasquez.
Oh, man.
Oh, super fun. Super fun to see him. But so our season standings then, Hogs is still in the lead with 5.5. I'm in second at 5. Dan's at 3, but Dan has been at 3
Just
since
forever.
the third series of the season. The listeners, though, are catching up now at 2.5, Hogs. Be careful. They're going to be nipping at our heels any minute.
I wouldn't hate them passing Dan. That'd just be funny if he wins 3 and then doesn't win the rest of it, which apparently I'm anti-Dan now. I get, but Dan, to be fair, you fired the first shot.
Yes. Well, and you've been anti-David for so long, it's about time. It's about they do the heel turns in wrestling.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
what's
John
happening
Cena
here for
right now
Hogs.
after 18 years or whatever it was.
Yes. So, Hogs, you are still in the lead from points scored. You have 53. I'm in second with 37. The listeners in third with 24. And then Dan with 15. We're all positive, at least, Hogs, which is a good sign compared to how the early season went for us.
This is going to be a runaway. I'm just warning you right now. I've been getting first or second for like the last month right now. Like this is going to get ugly real fast. I'm about to really pull away.
Beast versus Bench.
Is losing fun? Is losing fun?
I'm going to pick Castro. I just really liked his versatility, and I know he performed well at the plate. He had that home run. He had that great catch, but just the ability to use him all over the field in these games when position players were at such a premium with everyone going down and him still being able to produce. We need that guy in the lineup. He's so valuable to this team when he's doing that, and it definitely showed in this series.
When there was a scary moment for Castro as well, when he was sliding into second on a double in game 3 here, his arm kind of gets caught on the base and he slides over his arm, but he stayed in the game and stayed in defensively, so hopefully he's fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, Hogs, with the role players. I realize I'm sort of breaking the rules, but I don't like to put guys like this on the bench or as far as like the Beast moniker because they typically aren't expected to be guys on the team who are supposed to produce. But my goodness, Hogs, do they deserve it here. Vasquez with the big homer, Clemens with the big homer, Kersey Jr. with the big homer. Those 3 guys, those guys are going to be my beast. I just think the Twins don't win this series without guys like that stepping up, and all 3 of these guys stepped up in a big way.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. When I saw you had put that in the notes when I was putting my notes in, and I loved that pick because you look across the box score, and it was so even in this series, and I think that's why they got those runs, because it wasn't just 2 or 3 guys producing at the top of the order and then getting stranded on base. It was the entire lineup. Those guys came up with clutch hits, and that's why we won the series.
Who do you got on your bench, Hogs?
I went with SWR. It's a kind of just a lazy pick. He literally got sent down to AAA right after this, so he is the bench, but man, we really needed him in game 2 to finally get us some length, and he couldn't, even with a 4-0 lead. We've already talked about it a lot. I don't need to go into much more detail, but yeah, I think he will be back though.
Here's to hoping, Hogs, or hope not, depending how well Festa
right? I
and
mean, that's the
Matthews
thing.
pitch.
If Matthews comes up and owns it, that's not a bad thing either.
I got to go with my guy Ober.
Where did all these unsupervised children come from?
We really needed you, my friend. We needed you to step up in a big way, get deep into a game, and just not good enough. Too many walks, too many pitches, getting deep into counts. We needed you to go deep into this one. I wish you would have stepped up when they really needed you. I'm glad we still got the win, but I was a little disappointed with Ober, a guy who I typically, obviously, always want the best for.
Well, I think this is lazy too, right? Picking 2 starting pitchers, but when you've won 11 in a row and you win 3 games, especially in the fashion like that, with like what we said, the role players producing, where else are we going to go? And so I think those 2 picks make the most sense.
Rocco's Rewind.
I don't know if this is a compliment because of what he had to do, because he wanted to do it, or more because he just had to do it. But sweeping that doubleheader and half your team getting hurt and then still managing to win a day game after that, using all of your position players and all of your pitchers other than the starters in the first 2 games, while apparently it's coming out both ends when you're missing. He missed the post game today, missed half of game 2 yesterday. It's a masterclass. And again, it's not because he really wanted to do this, but that's what happened. This Milwaukee series is going to be tough, though, because we're going to see how many guys he still has available. I have nothing but good things to say about Rocco's performance in this series.
Yeah, I'll say there's some folks online who are complaining about the bullpen usage and how he's using them too much. It's what do you want Rocco to do here? Exactly. There's nobody else. I just don't understand what people want him to do. It's not on Rocco at this point. Yeah, he's using the bullpen a lot because you have to. You can't just be well, we're just not going to pitch instead.
I hate when people complain about managerial decisions when he doesn't have a choice. When it's just you have to do that. You would be ripping him so much more if he kept SWR in a situation like that. Or he puts a guy in a high leverage situation who's a low leverage pitcher. You play to win the game, and that's what he's doing right now. Maybe less. You know what? This is actually a good point. Before, we would always talk about Rocco knows how to manage a losing game fantastically. This year, it kind of feels like he's let's go. We want to win them all.
He is not managing to win the next game. He's managing to win this game, and it felt that way even when the Twins were down.
Yeah.
And it is. I think it is a very significant mindset change for Rocco, that he's not just thinking about the next game. He's really just thinking about this game. Now, to be fair to all the haters online about using up the bullpen, it's a reasonable complaint, but it's not a reasonable complaint that there's a solution for.
Yeah.
That's the hand we're dealt with at this point.
Well, and our top end starters are starting to really produce, right? I mean, this is a tough stretch. Joe Ryan was sick, so he didn't get to throw as many innings as he probably would have. But Paddack is producing. Lopez is going deeper into games. Ober, this is a one-off. So they're hopefully going to get some rest here coming up. And again, day, night, day with a doubleheader. That's brutal. What are you supposed to do with that?
Well, it's just a bummer that they don't get a day off until Thursday.
I'm scared about this Milwaukee series. I truly am.
Well, and the Cleveland season following, I hope that they get rained out one of these games just to give the guys a break. And that's almost blasphemous for me to say. I hope that baseball gets rained out for the health of the team. I don't know that I've thought that way in a while.
At least they get I know they're on they have to travel today, but at least the game tomorrow night is tomorrow night, and they're done already during the day, so they're getting a little bit of a half a day almost.
Yeah,
but I agree with you. Have you ever thought I want to rain out? I need a day off
for the sake of the team. Yeah, it's bizarre with how gassed this team is, and you want to see this winning streak continue.
Yes,
I know we're sort of on a fairy tale ride right now, and this is not the norm for baseball. And we would have been thrilled had they taken 2 of 3 from the Orioles, or had they taken 2 of 3 from the Giants. But for them to go on this winning streak, Hogs, 3 weeks ago, we're talking about hopefully they get back to 500 by the trade deadline to keep it interesting. And now we're talking about them already securing a postseason position.
It's unbelievable. It makes no sense. And I think they're a half? Yeah, they're a half game behind the Royals right now. I mean, it's insane.
I do think one quick note to Rocco. This is my direct line to Rocco. Bring up Randy Dobnak.
Yeah.
Bring up Randy Dobnak, so when a guy goes 3 1/3, you have a guy you can bring in and who's going to give you 4 innings. Do that for the sake of the team. I realize there's going to have to be some weird moves probably to make that happen. Please bring a long guy up, because Alcala's going to go maybe 2 innings, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to have him go much longer than that. Bring up our boy Dobnak. He's served well in that role in the past.
Wouldn't it be fun if we got up 12-0 on the Brewers in the second inning tomorrow night or something like that? Just to be let's have a laugh.
Asking for jinx.
No, I'm not. No,
nothing.
Nothing can jinx Minnesota sports right now, David. We are living in fantasy
land
land right now. Please
man.
delete
Gumdrops
clip when everything goes south in the next couple days.
Okay, let's keep going here. On to happier times. There's no sad times, folks. It's all happy times. I'm loving this. Let's go on here. Minnesota moment.
Minnesota moment.
I think it's the Vazquez homer for me, because that was just such a huge moment to just that series. It was kind of starting off a little sour, and then to hit that homer, 3-run homer, get back into it. But I don't want to pick that one, because I want to pick that Castro catch, because I just feel like people don't understand how beautiful that catch was. I think it's better than those sliding ones that you see where guys are kind of just going down because it makes it easier to catch it. On the run, flat out, over your shoulder, with a jump. That was insane. I could watch that all day long. So I'm going to give honorable mention to Vazquez for that home run, but it's the Castro catch for me. Also, it was huge. It probably saved a run, if not 2, depending on what happens after that.
Definitely. A very good pick. I got to go with my guy, Kody Clemens. Game 2. top 8. Castro singles. He steals second, advances to third on a balk. Royce Lewis walks. And then my guy, Kody Clemens, comes up to the plate.
Should I be humming the Moneyball music right now, David? Is that what
we're gonna talk about that in a minute here? Kody Clemens steps up to the plate. He hits a deep fly ball to right field. It clears the wall, puts the Twins up 8-6. Roger is once again in attendance. He was there watching his boy playing for the Minnesota Twins. Pretty fun stuff. So I need to offer a quick apology. So we cut a clip of me talking about Kody Clemens' home run against the Red Sox. And we had it with the Moneyball music, and it was sort of dramatic. If you listen to the full episode, and if you've been longtime listeners to the show, you know that, yes, we thought it was a very nice moment, but it was kind of done in a sarcastic manner. Like, Kody Clemens is, he's been in the league for a while. He's kind of a journeyman. He's hit home runs before. But the way we set it up, if you didn't really understand the context, you would definitely think this was like meant to be this big dramatic thing. So I feel a little guilty about that because that clip is our most viewed clip.
But to be fair, David, the whole movie Moneyball is kind of hilarious anyways because it romanticizes this team of baseball that just got crushed by the Twins in the ALDS. We can't forget that. I feel like it was kind of apropos to be using that music. There are romantic moments in baseball when even if you look at the bigger picture, it might not be as romantic, but sometimes you gotta lean into it. And I love that. Like it was a cool moment with his dad being there. Apparently the AL East is just where Kody Clemens goes to MASH, so that's what we need to do. But I like the clip, David. I'll be honest, I do not like Roger Clemens. I lump him in with all the steroid era guys. When you started reading that clip, I'm like, I refuse to like this. I got goosebumps with the Moneyball music. It was cool. Father-son stuff, when you have a kid, any of that stuff is just like, well, I'm done. If you give me any of that, I'm gonna start tearing up instantly. So it was cool, David. I don't think you have to apologize. I think it was a cool clip, even though you were being a bit tongue-in-cheek. But let's be honest, the romanticism about baseball is a bit tongue-in-cheek just at its very, very existence.
Maybe. Like, it's a cool moment. I'm not denying it's a cool moment. And I guess what I really wanted to say is if people came to this show because they saw that clip and they were looking at the show, I just hope they weren't disappointed by what they found here.
Or so you saying that you stink normally and that was just like your best moment and it's all downhill from there?
I hope not. But I'm just trying to say that, like, I don't want them to feel like it was a bait and switch of like what they were watching versus what they get when they come to the show. I see what you're saying. Yeah. So anyway, folks, yes, I'm thankful that clip got the attention that it got. I'm glad that people enjoy it. It's just sort of, I hope that people, when they come to the show, they realize what they're getting and they appreciate the content that we're still producing.
I loved it. I thought it was phenomenal. I thought you guys did a good job. I may be a bit biased, though, for being honest. But
okay. Well, let's go. Mauer's Musings. There's lots of questions about this team. Basically, how are they going to form a roster for the next series?
I just don't know how it can get any better.
Mauer's Musings.
So I'm going to start, Hoax, because mine's a little bit more Twins-centric. Is this the real Chris Paddack?
That felt like a shot right there. But this is the same thing. Not. David, this is a hilarious question because is this the real Chris Paddack? It's like what we've been asking about the Twins. I mean, I could put on mine, is this the real Twins team right now? Because is it the beginning of last year? That bad. Is it the middle of last year? Amazing. Is it the end of last year? Horrible. No, Chris Paddack.
Stop for a minute. Will you just chill for just a second?
If you guys can see him, he's just like looking up as he's yelling, stop.
Okay. You just got to chill because you do this every time where you try and take one of my questions and you make it sound like it's not a real question.
Well, don't
it's a
ask
different
question.
No, it's a real question because, Hoax, there's a lot of guys performing on this team in the way that you would expect them to perform. Chris Paddack, historically, with the Twins, has not been great, and now he's at 2 starts in a row where he's pitching phenomenally and he's getting deep into games. Now, this is what I'm trying to ask, Hoax. He's been pitching 5 innings at a time since the beginning of the season. Now, all of a sudden, he's getting deeper into games. He's much more in the strike zone, and he's creating a lot of swings and misses. So my question to you, Hoax, is this the real Chris Paddack? And it is a good question. So answer it, please.
I want to tick you up so bad right now. I won't. You know what? I have matured. Okay. I think it is. Because, we laughed at him at the beginning of the year when he said his whole thing was he wanted to throw, 200 innings or whatever, and that's what he was mad at himself for doing. He made it into the 8th inning in his last start. This one, he pitched 7 innings in this today. Maybe we got to give the guy a little bit of credit. And Rocco's been leaving him out there, even in games that he's been getting shelled in. He's a bit like his Joe Ryan this year. Again, he hasn't really gotten shelled since the first game. I'm going to hesitantly drink the Kool-Aid. I'm going to say I think this is what he wanted wanted to do, and he has now done it for a few games in a row. Let's see if he can keep it up. The tick you off answer is it's probably somewhere in the middle, right? Like it's not as bad as the first game. Yeah, right. I know that, but I like what I'm seeing right now. How could you not? And it is funny that like a month ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about when is this guy done and when are they going to trade him? And now we're like, well, he almost threw a perfect game. I mean, and the Orioles are they're a good offense. They are a terrible defense and a terrible bullpen and not great pitching. Their offense is good. They got young, good guys on there. I am impressed. And I did not think I would be saying that about Paddack.
Well, I don't think I would have asked this question if his last 2 starts had came against the Orioles, but he had one start against the Giants where he went into the 8th. And so that's the only reason why I'm really asking this question. Because, had it been against the Orioles or the White Sox, something like that.
Well,
but no, in this instance, it's against a good team that he's done it and against a bad team who has a decent offense, to your point.
Yeah, and I like the nuance of the question, too, where is the new Chris Paddack this guy who's going 7 or 8, even if he gets a loss? Like, that's a good caveat to that. Like, because that's what he wanted to do. That is legitimately what he wanted to do, and that was his goal. So I don't think it's really reading into it that that's what he's been able to do these last couple of games, and let's hope it continues.
All right, well, what do you have here, Hoges, for your musing?
I like doing this because I overreact just aggressively on this show. So right now, you can say all 4 AL Central teams are in the playoffs because the White Sox don't count, right? They're a basketball team. Now they're the Bulls. So all 4 AL Central actual baseball teams are currently in the playoffs. Is there any chance that that is what happens come October?
No. And okay, so my dad and I have been going back and forth on this. So my dad is convinced that at least 3 teams from the AL Central are going to make the postseason.
I agree with him on that for sure. You wouldn't take 3?
I don't. Okay,
David.
I just think that
I love. What one of my favorite things to do to you is I let you say half of your point and not explain it, and then argue my side of the point while you just sit there red faced, being like, "I didn't even get to say why I meant what I said."
Hoges, absolutely driving me nuts. Here's my thinking. I think out of the AL East, you have some teams that are real between the Yankees and the Red Sox. I think the Red Sox are quite good. I realize they're under 500 right now, but I think they're better than they've shown. I think kind of the same with the Blue Jays. So sure, they might beat up on each other a little bit, and that will help the cause. That is the way that this happens, right? If the AL East, if they all split a whole bunch of games, that's fine. But the AL West, I think the Mariners are real. The Astros inevitably make the postseason because that's what they do. The Rangers, I think, are a little bit unknown right now, but I think that they could be good. The run differential is where they're hurting a little bit. If the offense picks up, Hoges, I think they got a chance.
That will be a fun we play them, I think, in June coming up here pretty soon. So that'll be a fun litmus test for the Twins, too. It's exciting. And, like, to your point, the AL Central is going to beat up on each other a little bit, too. I think we can all agree there are some solid teams. I mean, who really knows what the Twins are right now? And again, this is a stupid exercise a quarter of the way through the season, but it's fun. Who knows what this team's going to be like? But if you had to pick right now, do you think Detroit comes away and wins this division as you see it?
They look so good.
They do.
They look so good. Their run differential is ridiculous. They're at like plus 86. I think that's the second best in the majors. 29-15. They're already that far above 500. I just wonder if Javi Baez, Hoges, has this resurgence.
Unbelievable.
It makes no sense to me how that... You have to think either he's had nagging injuries that have just always slowed him down compared to what he was when he was with the Cubs, or something fishy's going on.
I think he's just...
Like, I hate to be that guy, David, but there's no way. Baseball is such a statistical-driven sport. You can't tell me, if you look at his performance the last 3 seasons and then look at what he's done so far in the last month, how is that possible, Hoges, without something crazy sort of being
He's
done?
having fun. It's the Max Kepler syndrome. He slid into third. He did the paint me like your French girls dance, and now, or not dance, pose. And now he's having fun. You're having fun. You're playing the game of baseball. You're loving it. That's what you need. You're not going to play me that. I'm literally waiting for you to play the, I want to dance with somebody. Thank you. Thank you. I just kept talking, being like, when is he going to play the sounder?
I just want you, Hoges, on the record right now to tell the world the reason Javi Baez has all of a sudden started to play baseball well is because he's having fun.
Yep, co-signed.
Okay, well, that just can't be.
I have so many follow-up questions for you, but thank goodness I'm on the next episode, so I will have some great questions for Mauer's Musing next time.
series grades.
So I'm going to go first because historically I go first. I'm going to give them an A. I don't know. I don't know how you give them anything other than an A until they lose a game. First of all, let's start there. But it was fun to watch an offense here that's picking up the pitching in the first couple of games. I don't know what to say, Hogs. There's nothing you can give them but an A at this point until, again, they lose a game. And even when they lose a game for the first time, as long as they're not getting swept, it's going to be hard not to be a little bit gracious in the grades, I think.
Yeah, I agree. But so I've come up with a new rubric. I call it my Big Ben rubric, actually. I decided I was trying to think of categories that I needed, and I went with momentum, decision-making, and then I'm ranking all the, like, either the stars, the mids, and the youth. And I did it each on a scale of 1 to 5, also known as -2 to 2. It makes sense if you really think deeply about it. Honestly, in this series, I thought the momentum was incredible. You kept the streak going. How do you give them anything lower than a 99 for that? Decision-making, Rocco was phenomenal. If that's not a 5 out of 5, I don't know what you're going to do with that. The stars produced until they knocked heads. That's a 2 out of the -2 to 2 scale. The mids did. You gave them your beast. That's a 50 out of 50 if you have to go there. The youth produced. I guess we're calling Clemens youth. That one I would for sure give a 1 out of 1. And all in all, when you add it up, it's a 1,000 out of 1,001. That's an A for me. Dan, that's for the manager comments. It's for the manager comments.
That was about as clear as Dan's grading segment normally is. So thank you for that.
In all seriousness, by far my favorite segment to listen as a listener. I love it. I pushed so hard for him to bring the rubric back. And this one, again, hand up, I think it's his best one he's had yet. I really do like the categories that he's come up. It does make me giggle a little bit that our high school teacher says mid. It's just, I don't know, can we use that word? I feel like I'm too old to use that word, but I love that he's bringing it in.
Yeah, that's for the youths, I think.
It's for the youths.
Yes. Well, if I was going to grade internet connection, Hogs, I know that I would give Gateway Fiber an A+ here. Attention, Minnesota, there's a new high-speed internet sheriff in town. Gateway Fiber has landed in Blaine, Brooklyn Park, Champlin, Coon Rapids, Maple Grove, and Plymouth, with plans to extend deeper into Minnesota. Gateway Fiber boasts a fiber optic network that exceeds the capabilities of some of the biggest players in the business, giving you more whiz for less cost for all of your working, streaming, gaming, and whatevering. With no hidden fees, no data caps, and no installation fees, Gateway Fiber is perfect for your home or business. Go to gatewayfiber.com to get fast, reliable, and affordable high-speed fiber internet.
I don't know, Jack. It looked like Herbeck pulled him off the bag.
Herbie's headlines.
So I purposefully don't look at the notes a lot beforehand, mostly to annoy you because I think it bugs you when I bring up stuff that you wanted to talk about later. And you know what? It's just fun that way. You put this first note on here for one reason. I know you did, and I'll let you go with it. But I'm on to you. I know why this one's in here.
You don't have any idea why I put this there, Hogs. Tell me why. Okay, so here's the note. The note is Bryce Harper has cut his hair. It looks bad.
So
it looks so bad.
Folks, what sounder do you think David would really, really love to play that he hasn't played yet this episode?
I have magic hair that glows when I sing.
Are you perfect still, even with him out with the injury? I don't think you've missed one yet.
We have to use that sounder at least once. But truthfully, here's the thing. I grew up in a house where my parents would not have liked it if I had long hair, right? They would not have been on board.
It's true.
And so that's instilled in me. I don't love it when dudes have long hair for the most part. I think I've grown to it a little bit with the millennial man bun and stuff. Yeah. But so Bryce Harper, dude, that guy had great hair and he just looked like a baseball player. And when he shaved it, he looked like a guy working at a gas station. I don't know how else to explain it. The buzz cut, he should be handing people packs of cigarettes. Yeah, I don't fully understand what possessed him to do. Now, hang on. I want to retract all of these statements. If we find out he did it for locks of love or for a cancer patient or something, then I think he's the most beautiful man with this haircut. Right. If it was for aesthetic reasons or non-familial reasons, it's not like his kids didn't like his long hair or something, no. Go back to grow it back out.
The amount of time we talk about haircuts on this podcast is just hilarious. We talk about Keisha's hair. We talk about Julian's horrible haircut. Now Bryce Harper. Real quick, you saying that Bryce Harper is what a baseball player looks like. I don't think I would have thought of that without you saying it. But yeah, if you look up baseball player, it should be Bryce Harper. That's what a baseball player should just kind of look like the typical American baseball player. That's him. That's him right there.
Yeah. Couple of quick notes here, and then we're gonna go back to to sort of the big one that's all around the world right now, obviously. First of all, the Red Sox rob a home run from the Tigers' Kerry Carpenter, but they needed 2 players to do it. Folks, if you haven't seen this is nuts. It's sort of crazy to me, actually, that this doesn't happen more often on accident, but Abreu goes over the wall, the ball bounces off the heel of his glove, and then Rafaela catches the ball on the rebound, Hogs. It's insane.
Yeah, I love baseball plays like that because guys are just doing good fundamentals. They're backing the other guy up, and then to see it happen like that is always so funny because they're all like, wait, I dropped it. No, you caught it. And I love that interaction there. It was a beautiful play.
Another quick one here, non-baseball related, and it's sort of funny because Hogs is on the show, not Dan. Quick Vikings note. The Vikings are going to play the Steelers and the Browns in Dublin and then in Ireland. I don't fully understand why. What are we doing?
Who wants to
here,
watch
Hogs?
a 2-15 team overseas anyways? Like with JJ McCarthy, you guys don't have a prayer. So yeah, I don't get why you'd get any national TV games this year.
Okay, well, first of all, that's not what I wanted to talk about at all, and I think the Vikings are going to be great. I just think it's crazy that they're playing 2 international games back-to-back weeks.
Well, yeah, there's no way they're coming back home, right? Like they're going to stay out there during that whole time?
Well, what I'm really concerned about, actually, is if they get to the coastline, are they going to start raiding villages?
Maybe.
I just get worried that
oh, man.
the
David, there's
ancestral-
going to be so many. The Vikings have come. Oh, I didn't even think of that. I hate that. I
I
so
assume
much.
that's why they were doing it, was just to
Oh.
really play into the whole Leif Erikson, Eric the Red
I
type
might
stuff.
not watch. That's going to be miserable. It's right there for them, though. They have to. Like, they legally have to talk about it.
Well, it's just like when they stole the skull chant from the Iceland, soccer team.
Right.
It's just like, if the Vikings don't care, they're going to take whatever they can as long as they can get. If you get drunk people on Sunday clapping their hands over their head, you're telling me that group of people isn't going to latch on to the idea that they're not in their ancestral Vikings home?
Oh, no. I'm sorry, Ireland. I apologize in advance.
Okay, so now we got to get to this big one. I thought about doing this as a whole separate episode, and we might do that a little bit later, but here's the big news, Hogs. Manfred has revised Rule 21. It basically made it so certain players were ineligible to be elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. He has changed this rule that those people who were ineligible to enter the Hall are now eligible, but only after they die. So this means that like the members of the Black Sox, and specifically the big name obviously here, Pete Rose, and then you have sort of the steroid era guys who weren't necessarily ineligible, but also it's a little bit funky, Hoax. But so this is all I want to say. Would you vote for Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson? Would you vote these guys into the Hall of Fame?
No, unequivocally, no. I hate this so much because those decisions that you make when you are playing the game of baseball, right? Like, we can argue about the character clause all we want. And Pete Rose, don't even get me started. Like, if you want to Google what that man has done with, it's horrifying. There is no chance that these guys should be in the Hall of Fame based solely on what they did while they were playing. The Black Sox threw the 1919 World Series. If that's not destroying the integrity of the game, I don't know what is. Pete Rose bet on games as a player and a manager and didn't admit to it until after 30 years after he played, and because he wrote in a book, and all because he wanted to just get more publicity and sign more autographs. I don't think people say like the Hall of Fame is a museum. Those stats are still in the Hall of Fame. It means something to still be inducted into the Hall of Fame. No one is denying that Pete Rose isn't the leader in hits. We know the stats. We know he had 4,500 hits. We know how many years he played, the World Series, the World Series MVPs. He does not deserve to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I think it devalues the Hall of Fame. I think you made a great point. What does this mean for the steroid guys? When they die, are we going to vote them all in? Also, it's stupid. After they're gone, what are you doing anyways? Like, there should be consequences for these decisions that impact the integrity of the game, and this devalues that, and I hate it. And I don't know if you follow Chris Rose at all. He's a big Cincinnati Reds fan and a Cleveland Guardians fan too, but he had some really good thoughts, I thought, on the Pete Rose thing that summed it up rather nicely. As a guy who loved him as a kid, it's just, I would check that out if you're willing, but yeah, this upsets me.
I think with the prevalence of sports betting currently, I think there's going to be a ton of guys who played really good baseball who it's going to be found out were betting a lot on baseball. Now, I know we joke about Ohtani, but I'm just saying when we talk about guys who are going to be future Hall of Famers, who I think a lot of these guys, sooner or later, it's going to come out that they've been betting on baseball. I think it's happening a lot right now. I'm sure it is because sports betting is so prevalent. They're around it constantly. Are you going to be okay with this, Hogs, if all of those guys who are participating in sports betting now who are Hall of Fame candidates are barred from the Hall of Fame because they were on DraftKings, taking their pick threes or whatever.
I get how you're saying that that's similar, and it's something that we would have to figure out eventually, and it's a very real problem. And I think we're in agreement on we don't think that this is a good idea and this can only go poorly, but I think that's a separate question because I
don't think it is.
It is, though, because of baseball is making decisions right now to partner with these teams, and all other sports are, that it's a scary, slippery slope, and I think that does directly impact the Hall right there. And I agree with you. I don't think you're wrong in that, but I just think it's more unique in that situation. But in answer to your question, I don't think they should be. If you bet on the game of baseball while you are playing or managing, you're done. Like, it has to be that clear cut. And the follow-up argument, well, why does baseball keep partnering with this? They're shoving it down everyone's throat anyway. They shouldn't be holding their players accountable for that. That's a fair point. That is an incredibly solid point, and it kind of disgusts me. And I'll be honest, I am someone who likes to gamble on sports, but I am not playing, and I don't want anyone who is playing to have anything to do with it. This is a problem, and we're going to see it. It's a great question, because we're going to see after effects from this for a while, and I think it's going to get worse before it gets better, because there's a lot of money in it, and those leagues are not going to turn their nose away at that kind of money.
We'll have to see. I haven't, to be honest, I'd like to put a little bit more thought into this, exactly what my thinking is, because I think that a harder line needs to be drawn that either says the only thing we're looking at is what's done on the diamond, and whatever happened outside of the diamond doesn't matter. And again, that sort of comes down to the character clause piece. And I'm not saying what the current standards are. I'm talking about my standards.
Yeah.
Right? If I was going to make, the Hall of Fame, how would I set it up? And I think that the cleanest way to do it is truly to say whatever happened on the diamond says whether you get in or you get out. But then you got to ask the question, do I want to be in a club with these guys who didn't?
It's a good question.
Who weren't good guys outside of baseball.
But my point to that, though, is that this gambling on baseball that Pete Rose did and what Shoeless Joe Jackson did was on the diamond. Those instances there qualify as that. And you can look into other stuff. Fair. But I think that, and I agree with you, I do still tend to want to have that character clause in there for stuff outside of the diamond. And again, I'm including gambling as on the diamond. To me, that is on the diamond. It's tough. Are we gatekeeping something that maybe doesn't need to be gate kept like that? But to me, the Baseball Hall of Fame is different than all the other sports, and maybe that's just because baseball is my favorite sport. But
no, the way that the Baseball Hall of Fame works is far a higher standard than any of the other Hall of Fames, for sure. Like the NFL, if you play 3 seasons, I think you get the Hall of Fame automatically. I think that's how that works. But it's the Hall of Fame of the NFL is very much similar to the Twins Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I would agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's a good.
That's the standard.
I agree. Yeah.
So if there was a separate Hall of Fame in the NFL for only some players, that's the level that we're talking about here, as far as what the Twins Hall of Fame is. So the Hall of Fame itself should be kept for the best of the best.
Yeah, I think we could go on this forever, but it's just it's something that I truly don't want devalued, because I think it matters. And when Mauer got voted in, that was a cool moment, and I don't want to care about it the same way I care about the NFL Hall of Fame. I want it to still be that separate, unique kind of enshrinement.
Let's keep going here. Puckett's picks for the upcoming Brewers series.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
Puckett's picks.
The listeners are going to take Larnach. I pick next. I am going to take Brooks Lee. Dan from the hot spot of Texas is going to take Lewis, and that leaves you, Mr. Hoganson. Are you going to pick someone who might be dead?
That's the problem. I didn't. If you notice, I didn't write anything down because I was kind of hoping, hey, maybe if I stall, we'll hear that someone else is healthy. I don't know. This is tough.
Clemens.
Christian Vazquez.
No. There's no chance. Side bet. We should do a side bet right now on Christian Vazquez.
No, I don't feel that good about it.
Hopefully, Hogs, we're talking about a continued winning streak. I do think the Twins are going to need a little bit of help here from the offense to give the pitching some breathing room, as none of those arms are fresh. I can tell you that, Hogs.
That's true.
With that, will you go ahead and send us out?
Yes, sir. Well, folks, if you like what you hear, please tell a friend. You can follow us on X at Min for the Win and find our Min for the Win Facebook and Instagram pages. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform so that you're notified when new episodes are available. And if you could leave us a rating or a like, we'd greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to support the show further, you can find us on Patreon, link in the description. Thanks for listening, and as always, go Twins.
That'll wrap up another episode of Min for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, 2 avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Twins. Thanks so much for listening, and as always, go Twins.